was a podcast where one NFL legend talked about football. What about two NFL legends? This is Wideout's World, where the gridiron comes alive. NFL legends Irving Fryer and Michael Timpson, breaking down the game from the ultimate insider perspective. Game recaps, upcoming previews, and exclusive analysis straight from the minds of those who've been in the trenches. Wideout's World. Let's do it.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm your host, Michael Timpson, and to my right, maybe your left, this is OJ McDuffie of Miami Dolphin fame. Welcome, my brother, to Wideout's World. Wow.
Wideout's World too, Tippy. I say that all the time, man. It's all about wide receivers, man. I think every team should go out there and start every game with 11 receivers on the field, man. So, yes, sir. Wild is.
11 receivers. Now, that's the difference. But you to my 11. Normally 3. You went all the way to 11. But I appreciate
11.
you being here, man. Irving's not with us, ladies and gentlemen. Irving's on vacation that he had to take. Yeah. So, my brother, OJ, is standing in his spot, and he's a special guest. So, treat him like royalty, which he is. How you doing, man?
Well, you know. I mean, Tippy, this is a live show, so we all know what happened to my team yesterday. You know what I mean? I'm repping my high school team today because they did something special on Friday. Of course, we'll talk about our Nittany Lions a little bit. They did their, what they had to do. But, yeah, and that Dolphin game yesterday had me in mourning today, man. So, yeah, I'm all right, though. I'll be all right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is OJ McDuffie of the Miami Dolphins. Now, let me give you a couple tidbits about OJ. OJ and I played together at Penn State. I was a senior, and OJ was a freshman that came in 88. Now, I think some people may not know this, OJ. You were a great baseball player as well. Now, did you have a choice, or baseball wasn't your thing? But I knew you were a good baseball player. How did you just get into football as opposed to sticking with baseball?
Yeah, well, I played baseball like my whole life growing up. That was the first thing I could play, that and like soccer or something like that, until I could play tackle football. I couldn't play tackle football in Ohio until I was 10 years old. I played flag football from like 6 to 10, and then 10 and on, I played tackle football. But baseball was always one of my number one sports growing up. And, so just playing that, longer than I played football became one of my best sports. My mom loved the fact that I played baseball. She didn't want me playing football. Didn't want me getting hit. And hell, Tippy, part of my decision to go to Penn State was my ability to play both sports. And Joe let me do that, kind of like you ran track and, played football. So that was a big part of what I was doing. But baseball came down to, the money really is what it came down to. Because I was playing baseball at Penn State, got drafted by the California Angels at that time, to the LA Angels of Anaheim now. Had football. The signing bonus from baseball wasn't very big. I knew I had a good chance of making big money in football, so that's when I stopped playing baseball. Sure.
Man, I played pickup baseball, OJ, and I got hit with the ball. That was it. I got hit with the ball. That was a wrap. So, hey, you know what I want to ask you? Why not Ohio State? Was Ohio State even in the picture?
Absolutely.
Being from Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. They were. Ohio State was my number one school, man. Growing up in Ohio, Ohio State was the only big school, honestly, and not like down here in Florida. You got Florida State, Miami, you got FIU, FSU, all these other, all these different schools. Ohio only had pretty much Ohio State, and everybody loved Ohio State, So I grew up watching Ohio State on Saturday and then watching another game on Sunday. But my senior year, they fired Earl Bruce. They brought in John Cooper, and it just wasn't a good match for me and my mom, so that opened up my recruiting pretty much.
Okay. Wow. That's what's up. Hey, so here's a great thing about some statistics that I pulled up, OJ. You had 63 catches for 977 yards 1 year at Penn State. Do you know, you're going to laugh at this, do you know my senior year I had 22 catches and I thought I was doing something?
Hey, Timmy, we weren't very good your senior year, man.
No,
so I bet you
we
did.
weren't. 22, but OJ, not until you went and cursed Joe Paterno out and told him to throw you the ball, he started throwing it.
Yeah.
So when I left, you 63, and then the Bobby Ingram's come, and then the last year, this tight end, he catches over 100 balls. I'm like, is
Yeah.
this the same school?
Yeah. Well, you know what, man? I mean, I'm not trying to dog any of your quarterbacks, man, but when your quarterbacks weren't the ones that I ended up having,
Right.
Tony Sackett became a heck of a quarterback, a second round pick for Arizona. I ended up with Kerry Collins, who was the 5th
Yeah,
overall
man.
pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So I think Joe just did a great job, kind of like Don Shula did down here, where it was a ground and pound offense until he got Marino, and then they started throwing it around. Joe got in a couple quarterbacks and started putting that ball in the air, man.
Yeah,
And I
man.
think that's how it all changes, man.
Yeah,
So
well,
my timing was better than yours, is what it was.
And the fact you went in there and got on his desk and say, "Look, Joe, you need to start throwing the ball." But it's good
That's
stuff,
just
man.
rumor, man. Tippy, I didn't punk Joe, man. Don't have people thinking I punked him. I went in there and talked to him.
You did go in there and talk to him. I heard the rumors. Hey, so ladies and gentlemen, this is OJ McDuffie of the Miami Dolphins. He was a first-round draft pick. He was the 25th pick of the 1993 draft. The 8-year career with the Dolphins. Finished with over 415 receptions for 5,074 yards, 29 TDs, if my stats are correct.
Well, 9 years officially. That's what my league number says.
There
All
you
I
go,
care about is
brother.
that league number. That one more year, boy.
That's what's important. The cha-ching, because every year adds up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's good stuff, man. So, hey, let's jump into the news of the week being your Dolphins. OJ, man, what happened? I mean, I'm watching the game. I'm from Miami. I like them to do well. I'm not a diehard Dolphin fan, but I'd like them to do well. But my brothers are diehard. They're diehard. They die real hard. But what happened to the Dolphins, man? I was just really surprised. Like most of the people that watched the game was 33-8 against Indy. You always owned Indy.
Right. Yeah, they used to be in our division, man, and I'm super surprised too, Tempe. You know how it is that first week of the season. You usually get like 2 weeks to prep for a team.
Yeah.
You don't even, that last preseason game you don't even care about. You're prepping for that week one because you know how important it is to get the 1-0 in week one against a team, in Indy that I didn't think was as tough as they were. And maybe they're not, but we just looked that bad.
Yeah.
We look, in the famous words in Larry Zonka, of course, Hall of Famer from the Dolphins. What he tweeted was, uninspired, unprepared, unacceptable. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it was, man. Those guys from day one, I mean, from the first snap of that game were exactly that. Indy went down, scored a touchdown. You know what? You get on the road, you have to weather the storm real quick and see how, just respond. We do that. They score, we come out, Tua throws a pick, they score again. These guys scored every single possession. The only time in the last century that a team has scored every single possession they had the ball. Some people have scored every single possession, but the last one they take a knee and they don't count them. That's every single possession. They didn't even have to take a knee against us, Tempe. They beat us down the whole time, man. So it was it was bad, man.
But what's surprising to me? They're falling off. I mean, because I'm just like any other wide receiver. When McDaniels got there, man, they was on fire. They endured the whole thing with Tua, and they still had something to show. But now it just seems like it's going in the wrong direction. What's the problem?
Yeah, they figured us out for one.
Okay.
I mean, what we were doing, all the bells and whistles and all the stuff we were doing, they've kind of figured us out. We have a problem. They say this in the press conference all the time. They call it a communication problem, which I don't get, man, because everybody's been in this system. All our major players have been on this team and in this offensive system for 4 years, Tempe.
Yeah.
This is the 4th year of Mike McDaniel, 4th year having Tua, 3rd year having Tyreek, 4th year having Tyreek, 4th year having Waddle, in the system. And so when I'm hearing this miscommunication stuff, I don't get it, man, because you know how much we meet. We meet more than Congress. Well, this Congress now is different, but back in the day, Congress used to meet a lot. But it's nothing but meetings, man. But when I see guys come out of the huddle and then they're on the wrong side and you got to go on the other side, you got shifts and motions, and now you're up against the clock, that bothers me, man, because that means they're not getting it done in the classroom, bro. And, they've had problems with some of our players not showing up for meetings, being late for meetings. Our coaches fine them a lot of times, but, the fines mean nothing compared to these guys making $20, $30 million a year because the NFLPA only allows so much money in fines. So this team being unprepared is just totally unacceptable. And it was on both sides of the ball. Our defense, who I thought our bread would be buttered on, they were terrible too. Obviously, because they didn't stop them all game long. So I just don't know, man. It's like, our owner at the end of the season said status quo is unacceptable, but he's giving these guys another year in terms of our coaching staff. I mean, I don't know what he's feeling about what happened yesterday.
Well, so let me ask you a question. Is it too soon? I mean, it's the first game, first week. There's a lot of things that obviously can change, and the first week doesn't really tell the story. But it was something about this game that makes you think, like, this might be us. This might be this team. This might what we'll see throughout the year. Do you think that McDaniels is feeling the pressure and he's reacting differently? That's number one. Number two, Irvin and I talk about this all the time. These guys don't practice like we used to practice. It's not even close. And so what you're getting, obviously the first week, maybe the second or the third week, you're not going to get the timing and the things that you would see later on in the season because they're still basically playing a preseason because typically they don't even play in the preseason anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, your first question, McDaniel, I mean, everything I've seen, he's got the hottest seat in the NFL right now.
Wow.
And it's unfortunate because I like Mike McDaniel. He's a good guy, smart as hell, knowledge of the game is incredible. But at the same time, it's a results-oriented business, as we all know. There's only two people in the NFL on every team that has a record, and that's the head coach and the quarterback. Nobody. What's your win-loss record? I don't know. I don't know mine either. You know what I mean? And so that's all we care about. Even our owner, he's probably got a record, but who knows about what his record's like. And so this seat's hot, man. It really is, man. And it's a tough deal. When you like somebody, but hell, we've been changing coaches so much down here, man. Everybody says fire, 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 but then they get mad when we start over and we're not as good again. Right. You're not going to be able to, be as good as you want to be in year one. Some coaches have pulled it off, but most do not, as we both know. And then when it comes to, to the hitting, man, it's like, I mean, to the practices, I would use that as an excuse for us, but I watched so many incredible games yesterday, Timpson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So many teams, like that game last night was like, man, that was like a heavyweight fight last night, and then you look at some of these other games, man, where teams have timing, teams are physical, and then we're the team that, is the worst in the league in the way we went out there and performed. But you're right, though. These guys, they don't hit. They don't practice as much. Hell, I think Jimmy Johnson, we have 14 days of two-a-day pads at one point. You know what I mean? The NFL, so you can't even have 2 days in a row with with padded practices anymore.
So that's why I think in some respects it shows up on some teams more the lack of practicing. But like you said, there were some incredible games, but then there were some you were like, what in the world is going on? A lot of mistakes and that type of thing. So hopefully, things will improve next week. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, that's your Dolphins. Now, what another thing, one other point I wanted to make to you, your defense, if it's obvious Jalen Ramsey in that secondary, I mean, I think that's big. And just the fact that they traded him away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's glaring. I mean, to me, if you look at the team, he's like Micah Parsons was to the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Jalen was a great player. He was also one of the problems that we were talking about earlier. Unfortunately, man, great talent. And I know Mike Tomlin's probably the right guy for him to be playing for right now.
Yeah.
And, he's missed on the football field. We got Minkah Fitzpatrick back, and he's a hell of a talented guy, too, at the safety position. I think he can be more impactful than a corner can because, honestly, you can play away from a corner if you want to. You can go the opposite direction, kind of like we did. We played against Deion. Danny didn't throw me the ball once when I was playing against Deion Sanders, which made sense to me. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? But you're right, though, man. I think Jalen's in a good place. Coach Tomlin's going to be the best guy for him. And, he's a talented guy, man. But then, when your best players are the ones, our best players – our best players for the Dolphins contributed 50% of the fines last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's trying to change the culture in that locker room, made an example out of Jalen. And, he wanted out too. I think it worked out for both of us, even though he's still a hell of a player at his age.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to, cut bait, as they say. So, hey, let's jump into the NFL news because there's a lot of stuff to get into. And the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, OJ, is this whole thing with spitting in the NFL now. I really don't have a long comment about it other than it's disgusting, no place in the game. Me personally, I don't even want somebody like that on my team. I don't care how good they are. I don't because for you to do that, like the gentleman Carter did in the game, that was just beyond me. And quite frankly, be honest, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly embarrassed. A, as a football player. B, as an African American, I was embarrassed. Just to be honest with you. And so that type of thing now has crept into the NFL, and I had a chance to look back at some of the incidents involving spitting. 2006, T.O. Spit on D'Angelo Hall. 2006, Sean, rest in peace, Sean Taylor. He was ejected and fined $17,000 for spitting on Michael Pittman. 2020, Marcus Peters fined spitting on Cleveland wide receiver Jarvis Landry. 1998, that was the first that I ever even heard of this kind of thing. Bill Romanowski was fined $7,500 for spitting on wide receiver Antonio Freeman. Now, to make matters worse, I even saw the game, the University of Florida player spit on one of the South Florida players in the game. So now it's trickled down to college. I mean, this is just outrageous. And I just, be honest with you, I wouldn't care if they didn't play another down this year.
Yeah. You know, the NFL is always worried about the trickle-down effect. And you talked about that University of Florida versus USF thing. And, you know, right after, you know, he spits on Dak. And, you know, Dak spit to the ground, do spit right in the center mass. It's disgusting, Tempe. It really is, man. You know, the two most disrespectful things you can do to a man, in my opinion, is slap him. You know, because instead of punching me, I'd rather you punch me than slap me, because that's telling me what you feel about me, and spit on me. Yeah, man. You know, and so I think it's absolutely disgusting, man. And you know, these dudes, these big it's just so disrespectful. It's so classless. You know, and like you say, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to brothers that are out there, and we're brother on brother crime, spitting on each other. Now, Romanowski, I think he had different reasons for spitting on people. You know what I mean? Because he didn't. He was spitting on no linemen, but I think he spit on a few people, but he might have only got caught a couple of times. There's too many cameras nowadays, bro. Yeah. You know, to get away with that stuff now, man. But yeah, you're right. This guy, if they, you know, the fine's gonna be heftier than that. You talk about 17 grand back when. Yeah. Now, how much could it be now? You know what I mean? It's gonna be hefty, fine and total embarrassment. And he's lucky. He's lucky his team still won that football game, because he's a hell of a player for them. You know, imagine if they lose, you know, because of his absence, and he's the reason for that loss, man. So he's lucky that happened for them.
So that's hopefully we've seen the last of that whole spitting thing. It's just no place in the game. I don't care who does it. So here's another one that I thought was interesting in terms of NFL news. There was a big discussion today about the Ravens. After the game, they were leaving the field, and two of the players got, by the fans, hit on top of the head. One of them being Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson pushed the fan back after the fan pushed him in the head. He didn't just tap his helmet. I looked at the replay. The guy pushed his helmet, and he retaliated. Your thoughts on that is pretty much the same, I'm sure, as mine. You don't put your hands on the players. But the unfortunate part is you have people that pay X amount of dollars for a ticket, and they get in the game. They feel they own us. Yeah. I mean, they feel, you know, because they lost the money in fantasy football, you name it, they feel that they have a right. They're entitled to do this kind of stuff. And, you know, it's going to come to a point, somebody going to go in the stands and grab one of them. But like everyone has said, if they were on the street, they wouldn't do that. But in the confines of the stadium, they do that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they wouldn't talk the same trash online either if they, you know, if they were in front of some of these people's face. You know, I saw that incident live last night, and the guy actually hit D-Hop first. D-Hop just scored a touchdown, incredible touchdown catch from D-Hop. You know, and you know, they were going down the end zone to celebrate that, and Lamar saw the guy, the same person, looked like a kid, didn't look like an adult, but saw him put his hands on D-Hop. D-Hop just shrugged it off and kept going. And then Lamar's coming along there. They're so close to the field in Buffalo. You know, and they think that they can do whatever in Buffalo.
Right.
I mean, you've been there.
Buffalo.
You played against
Woo.
Buffalo. The bus is going through that crowd at the end of the game.
They mooning you.
They're rocking the bus. They're mooning you. They're throwing stuff at it. You know, somebody talking about they busted the bus window. You know, I get it. They're mad. They live in Buffalo. I'd be mad too if I were them. You know what I mean? It's not. I get it, man. But yeah, but Lamar saw that, and I think once he hit Lamar's like, you do that to me, and it's gonna be, you know. So Lamar, Lee's gonna come down on him no matter what.
Yeah,
you know, because he put his hands on the fan. But I don't think it's going to be as severe because they're going to see it as a retaliation. But man, oh man, these fans have this sense of entitlement, man. You know, they have this sense of entitlement, and like you said, Tempe, they wouldn't do that in the streets.
No,
Lamar's not a little dude. Lamar's 6'3", you know what I mean, 225 pounds. He doesn't look that. He looks skinny, he's small, but he's a bigger dude than people think he is.
Oh yeah,
and he's from South Florida, so you know he ain't no joke.
There you
know
go.
what I mean? So yeah, man, it's rough, man, and they need to start making that person should lose their season tickets first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
You touch the fans, you lose your season tickets. That should be the first thing, and that's to send a signal to all these people that think they can touch these players. Now I get it. You Lambeau Leap, and you're from the other team. You might get some in there. You know, if he would have jumped into the stands in Buffalo, I'm not mad at the fans from Buffalo giving him something. But when that person reaches out in the field and puts his hands on a player, that's definitely a problem.
But how many times you've gone in the stadium, they throw a beer on you when you're leaving the field, all kind of stuff. But
no, they threw a water bottle last night. They threw a water bottle on the field last night, you know, after you know, the Ravens scored, man. So it's just a bad atmosphere. Yeah. They're quote unquote great fans, but at the same time, though, man, they're despicable at the same time.
Are they worse than New York, in your opinion?
I mean, it's hard to be worse than New York, but you know, people from New York, man, they got other things to do. Buffalo, they ain't got nothing to do. They went to the game, went and got some chicken wings and went home. Then they'll wait another week for the game, some chicken wings, and they go home. That's the routine, bro.
Boy, Buffalo's a rough place, man. So I hope they clean that up, and I hope, to your point, that they don't come down on Lamar because he shoved the fan. I think that sends the wrong message, because players on the field, they want to be protected. They want to feel that the league has their back, and they won't let stuff like that happen.
Yeah, I think a warning is probably warranted, Tempe. Okay. You know, don't come down on him, but you know, let him know that don't do this and that. And the warning's for everybody league wide now. You know, you warn one. It's like, you know, I'm coaching. You've seen it. I'm coaching one guy. I'm coaching everybody. Oh, yeah. So I'm warning this guy, and I'm warning everybody. Don't do it. Next person is going to come down on me. You know.
All right, good stuff. Hey, so let me ask you a question. See that picture right there?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? What play was that? Do you remember the play, and what were you doing?
That looks like, let me see, let me make it a little bigger because my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. It looks like, I don't know, is that a reverse?
I don't know. Look like you taking it to the house though.
Yeah, it looks like a reverse. I think we might be playing. It might be the Notre Dame game. We beat them at home. I'm coming around. I'm coming around in reverse right there. It looked like it was cold though, Tim. You see?
Man, you look like
it looked like it was chilly out there, John, for sure. Which is most of the season there, right?
Man, that's good stuff. You know, I look back on some of the pictures from Penn State. We had on a lot of pads because we were doing a lot of blocking. Yes, maybe I did more so than you did because they were throwing you the ball. But man, it would take nothing for us to go out there and cut a DB, just running out there and just cut him, take his knees out.
Timmy, I was in that. You know, we were in T4 Mason, and I was lead blocking for Blair Thomas. Like, Blair should be lead blocking for me, damn it. You know what I mean? I'm blocking in-man on line of scrimmage, trying to make sure he's down so Blair can get the edge, man. Please, don't give me that. Don't give me that. I had to wear those big Douglas shoulder pads, man. I was trying to be so big.
Yeah, you know? So they're huge. So that's good stuff. But here's what I really like. This right here. Because, see, people don't understand. I know you enough to know that you talk trash. Who was you? You was talking trash right here, weren't
you? Yeah, I probably was. You know, most of the time when I'm styling and profiling like that, man, it's because, you know, it's a first down for once. You can't come up short of the first down without letting them know. So I'm pointing first down right there. I probably just took a hit, let him know he didn't do anything right there. And then I'm about to spin it. I'm about to spin the rock, you know what I mean, and let them see it even more. I like to piss them off. I want them out of their game, man. I want a safety coming at me and not worried about the running back that's running by him. You know, I'm okay with that. But I'm definitely talking trash.
That's good stuff, man. Love it. All right. So speaking of wideouts, these wideouts here, definitely aren't blocking like we were blocking.
Nah.
So your top 3 wideouts, because this is wideouts world. And we thank all of you for watching. This is my guest, OJ McDuffie of Miami Dolphin fame, my brother from Penn State as well. So he's sitting in for Irving while Irving is on vacation that he had to take, or else,
Yes.
or else.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that, or else. And he had to take it. So, OJ, I appreciate you being here. Top 3 wide receivers. Since you're the guest, yes, sir.
Go ahead. No, I'm listening. I'm sorry, Tim.
I'll let you start. Top 3 wide receivers this weekend, or this past week, I should say, from the performances. What you got?
Well, I mean, sometimes performance isn't everything, but yeah, some of these guys put up some major numbers, man. You got to look at last night already with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers had a hell of a game. He's Lamar's go-to guy, man, and they know that Lamar's going to throw in the rock, and they still can't stop him. So he's always going to be, somebody you got to pay attention to. And Zay had a hell of a game last night. I think he went 7 for 143 and a touch.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4 grabs of 20+ yards, 4 explosives went on those catches, man. So, he's always going to be one of those guys. I love one of my favorite guys is Cooper Kupp. I know he didn't do as much as he usually does or can do, but Cooper Kupp's one of my favorite guys. But then you got to look at Puka, Puka Nacua. He's unbelievable wide receiver as well. And then, you can look at any of the wide receivers from Ohio State. I think they all scored yesterday. Harrison, Wilson, Olave, and Jibba, all those dudes, Bouquet, all dudes, all these Brian Hartline dudes had a hell of a day yesterday, man. They were unbelievable. Hold on a second. Quiet, buddy. I'm dog sitting too, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. And so we talk about Ohio State all the time, OJ. They're putting them out there, man. Between them and LSU, they put them out.
They sure do, man.
And hats off. I don't know Hartline. I'm sure you do, but man, he's doing a wonderful. Now he's the offensive coordinator, but still, his imprint is there. Working with those wide receivers is so evident, man.
All over the league and all first rounders for the most part, and all making big impacts, man. So. Yeah, if now you talk about me, why didn't I go to Ohio State? If I was coming out now, I'd probably go to Ohio State, be a wide receiver there. You know what I mean? Hartline would come to Cleveland and come get my butt.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was telling Irv, I said, you know what? If I was coming out now, I'd go to Oregon. Just for the swag. Just for the
not only swag, but you have the track stuff too out there. So you got that dual thing right there.
Yeah, but
the track program is incredible. The swag is incredible.
Yeah,
man.
You can't go wrong with that.
Well, we just left Nike. Penn State just left Nike. We're leaving them next year. We're going to Adidas because we signed a $300 million 10-year deal with Adidas. That's going to include some NIL money. So it was like a no-brainer for us.
No-brainer. But I don't know, Adidas. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with
Nike.
You. I'm always going to be a Nike guy, bro.
Yeah, man. Me too. Yes, sir. Yep. All right. Here's my top 3. We got a little overlap, but that's okay. That's what we do. We're wideouts. My number 1 receiver, and here's the thing, Juice, we don't necessarily go with just the numbers. We look at all aspects of wide receivers because that's what we do. So my number 1 is Puka Nacua from the Rams. 10 receptions for 130 yards. He didn't score, but they won and he moved the chains. Now he had 11 targets. That's important because if he had 11 targets and he caught 10 of them, that's a good day. That's a good day. But here's the thing that the interesting stat about Puka. In 2023, when he was a rookie, they targeted him, OJ, 160 times. They threw the ball at him 160 times. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Then he followed it up in 24. They targeted him 106 times. So right now he's on pace, man, again to get over 100 balls. But I mean, he gets it done, and he's not flashy. There's nothing you would say, wow, looking at him. But the guy moves the chains, and he shows up every week. Every week he shows up.
Yeah, speaking of that, Temp, teams game plan against guys like that, and they still can't get it done.
Yeah.
We have that problem with Tyreek. Yeah, of course they're game planning against some. All the top receivers get game planned against, but they still get it done. Find a way to get it done.
They can't hold that guy. They can't hold Tyreek. They can't. My number 2 you'll like this because you're a pure receiver and you like, people that are running crisp routes and they're not just ad-libbing. This guy, Ricky Purcell from Florida, he plays for San Francisco. I like him because he's just smooth. This is his second year. Last year, he got some unfortunate incident, got shot, and that year was a wash. But this year, he started out 4 receptions for 108 yards. He didn't score, but that's 27 yards a catch. He's doing something right, but he's a real smooth receiver that I like for San Francisco. So he's filling that void from Deebo Samuel leaving, and he's doing a good job so far, first game. But I think they're going to get a big year out of him.
Okay.
My number 3, you had mentioned him earlier, from Ohio State, Jackson Smith Enigma. They lost against San Francisco, but he had 9 receptions for 124 yards. Again, 13 targets. This is his third year. Again, all they do is get the job done as Ohio State, former Ohio State receivers. So I like Njigba, and I like all the Ohio State receivers, as you mentioned. Those are my top 3 wide receivers this week.
Hell yeah, man! I'm with you on that, man. And I tell you, I mean, we could mention Terry McLaurin. You know what I mean? We could. They're everywhere. They're omnipresent. I like to say, man. But it's like we talk about, like you guys call, man. It's wideouts world, man. And the way the game has changed, Tempe.
Yeah.
How much fun we have in these systems and these opportunities when they're throwing on first, second, and third down. You're gonna get the targets. You're gonna get the opportunities, and it's just like. I mean, damn, when you're talking about 11, 10 grabs and 11 targets, I mean, think about when T.O. had, 22 catches? How many targets did he have in that game, Tempe?
I mean, you think about it. Good Lord. I mean, to have that many catches? Yeah. I mean, he had to be over 30. Good gracious. Man. But you know what? Part of the thing, too, is now they're paying these guys $30 million. They're going to get their money's worth out of them, paying $30, $40 million a year. They're going to get their money's worth.
They sure are.
All right. So let's go ahead and recap this past week, OJ. We'll start with the Thursday night game, Dallas at the Eagles. Dallas lost that one to the Eagles 24-20. Here's a couple points I wanted to make about that game. Outside of the spitting, we're done with that.
Right.
Man, it was rough because it was delayed. So it was late night, but it was a close game. And I was surprised offensively that Dallas moved the ball as well as they did. Now, talking about receivers, CeeDee Lamb, they targeted him 13 times. Had he made those catches, he would have been be close to 200 yards. I mean, he had a big night, but those plays that he didn't make, I believe they would have won that game had he made those plays.
Right. Or if he makes one of them, he makes one of those grabs, especially in that last drive, they probably win that game just one or two of those catches, not even all of them,
So I was really surprised. Dak played well. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. A.J. Brown, 1 catch for Philly. Devontae Smith, 3 catches. Now, that ain't going to go over well, particularly with A.J. Brown. So next week, he's going to raise sand, and they're going to throw him the first ball. That was the prediction last year after he raised sand. They threw him the first ball in the game. So that's my prediction this week, that he's going to get the first ball.
Yeah, get it out of the way, right? Let's go ahead and get this out of the way real quick. You know what I mean? Like, get him going early. Then you got to get Devontae going.
Yeah.
That team there's not enough footballs on that team, but they figured out a way to get it done last year. And as long as, you have that attitude of, we're winning and I'm not going to, it's all that matters. Now, if they throw one ball and they lose that game, then you gotta grind. You gotta give me an opportunity, to impact this game. But you're right, though, man. I think, you got to get those guys involved. And what a great setup to have. There's a lot of one-on-ones on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
When you got Saquon at offensive line and Jalen, you got to worry about that run game. You got one-on-one opportunities. You got to pull the trigger. And I saw Jalen look that way a couple of times and not pull the trigger, but you got to pull the trigger and get those guys a chance.
And then, our boy from Penn State, Dotson, comes in and he catches a post, a big play. So he taking advantage of it as well. So there's a lot of good receivers there. And hopefully they'll have enough footballs to spread it around, keep them all happy.
Right. I wouldn't mind being number 3 in that offense.
There you
That's for
go,
damn
brother.
sure. Johan hit gold, man. Getting traded last year, midseason.
Yeah.
Going and winning a Super Bowl. Now you still on the same team, same offense, same guys around. You get to go in there and just make yourself a play whenever you get a chance, man.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Good stuff. All right, so Friday, the Chiefs and the Chargers, they were in Brazil. Never been to Brazil, but I hear good things about Brazil.
Mhm.
Now the Chiefs and the Chargers won that game 27-21. Your thoughts on that before I go and give you my 2 cents on the Chiefs and the Chargers?
I thought another great game, man. And what I really took from that game, Tempe, is like what you have to have in this league is elite quarterback play, and we saw it that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You saw Herbert, who everybody's been crowning as the guy for a long time, actually showing up to be the guy that he did. Being 25 for 34, 318, and 3 scores, no picks. Herbert was incredible. The throws were just incredible. I mean, it was like what you expected from him a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then, you go on the other side, Patrick Mahomes was Pat Mahomes, man, the magic maker, man. He was doing it all by himself and doing it all kinds of ways. That's what you have to have in this league, man. The quarterback play is so paramount. We joke about when we played how you handed off the running back, the running game was important. Being able to stop the run was important. Now you gotta be able to put that ball in the air, and you have to be able to play off script. These two did a great job of playing off script, and it was fun to watch, man. Last night's game with those two guys and this game that we saw on Friday in Brazil, come on, man. That's elite quarterback play right there.
But see, you were fortunate enough to play with the Hall of Famer in Dan Marino. I mean, I was always jealous watching you, brother, because I had maybe 30 different quarterbacks. I tell her, I had maybe 30 different quarterbacks. How big was that? I think even big is an understatement to play with someone like that, because you just mentioned 4 different quarterbacks that were are game changers right now playing, and you played with Dan. Outside him cursing all y'all out when things ain't go well, because he was Tom Brady before Tom Brady cursed everybody out.
He was.
But such a great quarterback, man. That had to be, and you played with him for 8 years, man. Wow.
Yeah, it was special, man. It was really special. Danny, he's the greatest pure passer ever, man. His passes were incredible. The ball he threw was absolutely incredible, man. And it was always fun to see him manipulate a defense.
Yeah,
holding the snap count, making them show cover 3, cover 1, cover 4, whatever it might be, just by holding the snap count. And then, of course, that release. I mean, he always joked with us, like, get your head around like Linda Blair. You know what I mean? From The Exorcist. You better be ready because that ball's on its way. And sure as hell, man, it was on its way, man. And he made us all look good, man. He and Irv had a hell of a rapport.
Oh.
Irv can tell you a lot about it too, but they had a hell of a rapport, and I mean, we did a piece, from our Fish Tank podcast. We did one Fish Tank Iconic called The Comeback. And that 4th and 5 he threw against New England and Drew Bledsoe.
Man, don't even remind me of that. Don't even remind me of that.
Well, I have to. I got to talk about it. Here for. But that rapport they had was second to none, man. But Danny he was that great, man. People always say, he didn't win a Super Bowl. Tempe, you can't win a Super Bowl just by having a great quarterback, man.
Right.
You got so much. The defense was great. We weren't very good on offense. Offense was great. We weren't very good on defense. Always something that ended up being a problem. You look at the Eagles winning it last year. Hell, they were great on defense. They were great on offense. They were great on special teams. Even the Chiefs, when they've won it, their defense is underestimated, because everybody always paid attention to that offense, but that defense is super, super talented as well. So, that's how you get it done in this league, man. If you got a defense that can shut somebody, let's go back to Tom Brady in New England.
That's true.
Their defense is underrated.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Tom goes out there and scores. Defense gets the ball right back. Next thing, Tom goes down and scores again. So they're up either 14-0 or 10-0. Now it's pin your ears back time.
But see, here's the reality. When they talk about he didn't win a Super Bowl, being Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, but he had a Hall of Fame career and didn't win a Super Bowl because he did his job. When his number was called, he did what he was supposed to do. So don't minimize that because he didn't win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't understand when people do that and talk about he didn't win a Super Bowl. I don't give a flying fart. As much as he did for the game of football from that quarterback position, that in itself.
And and Tippy, I say this all the time too. Now he always, I'm real good friends with Mark Clayton, and he gets penalized with the Hall of Fame for not being for playing with Dan Marino. You look at his numbers compared to all these other wide receivers that are in, man. Mark's numbers are incredible. Mark had
Wow.
18 touchdowns in 1 year in the mid 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that. Always had double digits when it came to that stuff. But he gets penalized for playing Marino. But what about all these other guys? When you look at Irvin playing with, with Troy Aikman and all these other Steve Young's, all his receivers getting in. Terry Bradshaw's in the Hall of Fame, and his receivers are in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me, man. So, I mean, it's a tough deal, man. And I always say this too. Dan Marino's a bad man.
Oh yeah.
When you can sell isotoner gloves in South Florida, bro. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Come on, Tippy.
I love it. So the Chiefs and the Chargers. Here's the thing, and Irvin and I talked about this in terms of the Chiefs. They've been starting slow recently, but they always show up at the end when it counts. Now this game, they had 10 penalties. That's kind of indicative for me that they didn't play, they didn't work as hard, they didn't do as much. But again, it's the first game. So Hollywood Brown, 16 targets, 10 receptions for 99 yards. Now that number has to come up because he needs a go-to guy, particularly now that Worthy is out. Now Worthy, you appreciate this. He's running a shallow cross, and he gets clipped by Kelsey. Now I'm sitting here like, okay, I ran 1,000 of those. Whenever the tight end is coming, the tight end being the stronger, he's always over the top, and you're always underneath. How you have a collision like that puts you? I'm like, wow.
Friendly fire, man. Friendly fire on that. I mean, how many mesh routes have we run in our lives, man? You know what I mean? I mean, you're right. And you really don't even look for the football until you clear that mess. So you got to be able to see that guy, your own guy coming.
Yeah.
Before you even, you're not even looking for the rock until you clear that mess. So yeah, friendly fire, shoulder problem, man. That's unbelievable because these guys have repped that more than anybody. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes and these dudes have repped that over and over and over again. And
and not only that, the first 12, 15 plays, you done repped them. Those are the ones you starting out with.
Scripted like hell, for sure, all day. You're running those all week and all, you ran them on Friday, you ran them on Saturday in the walkthrough, of course you're going to run them right there on Sunday or whatever day, it's, Friday game. Yeah, for sure.
So the Chargers winning the game, here's the thing that I like about Harbaugh. When he came back, they said, well, he can't get it done. One thing I like about Harbaugh motivates his team. As quirky and as geeky and as odd as he is, he motivates his team. So I wasn't surprised that they played well enough to win that game because he went out and told them, we need to win this game. Yeah. And those guys came up and played well, man. You got a good receiving core. Talking about your quarterback, Keenan Allen went back there. McConkey, they got a guy named Johnson. They got a decent back now. I just think that they're going to be a contender. So I wasn't surprised that they played well and came out on top against the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was a big win for them, as you know. I mean, that really counts as a Chargers home game. So that's part of being within your division. You got a home game there that you have to have because you got to have a hell of a record at home in this league and hopefully go 500 on the road and to beat the Chiefs. That's always big within that division because that division is going to be tough. Between Denver, I think Vegas aren't going to be any slouches. The Chargers, as we saw, were pretty good. We know the Chiefs are going to be good. That might be one of the best divisions in the league right there. So to get the Chiefs early, that's big because when you go to Kansas City, it's going to be a mother trying to win in that job. So, it ain't going to be no, Sao Paulo, weather there. It's going to be probably going to be frigid for a team that's from LA. So it's going to be good that they got that done there.
OJ, what was the toughest stadium that you had to play in?
In terms of atmosphere?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo was tough, man. One, there was weather. Remember how slippery that field was too, man?
Yeah.
They had that turf that was like, and they had that big old crown where you can hardly see the other team's feet on the other side, man. They had that big crown. They knew they had the right shoes. We had the wrong shoes. It was always cold. Fans were right on you. They talked so much trash, man. It was like, we just talked about it going into the same tunnel to go to your locker room. Then the bus is getting rocked on the way out. Yeah, Buffalo was rough, man. It was rough.
You know what?
But it's no better feeling though than getting a win in Buffalo and getting the hell out of town though.
This
no
is
better
true.
feeling.
This is true. You need all the police to escort you out of there, but if you get out of there, win.
You need SWAT up in there, man. You need SWAT. You need the National Guard out there. You need.
You know what's a real tough place to play, because I was with the Bears, so I was in that division, is Lambeau Field.
Oh,
Lambeau Field it was difficult because it was not just the tradition part of it. Those fans they weren't crazy like Buffalo, but it's just the atmosphere. It was just the football atmosphere, and they were just nuts for their team. And just that in itself, that doggone cold, you talking about the frozen tundra? Yeah, it certainly was the frozen tundra. I mean, that made it even more.
Being with the Bears too, what about playing in Minnesota indoors? That was one of the loudest places I've ever been to. How loud it was in there, man! Like
getting
that dome was crazy loud in there. And I've been in some domes where it was, Indianapolis was okay. When Peyton Manning was there, Peyton Manning had that crowd on lock over there. The offensive when they were out there, where you couldn't hear, you couldn't a pin drop, man. It was quiet as hell. And then when we were on, man, it was loud. But that had it. When I played in Minnesota, I think I played their regular season game and a preseason game. And both times it was loud as hell there.
It is. I forgot about them because I was so concentrating on doggone Lambeau Field and that doggone cold turf. I mean, that cold ground. But Minnesota, that is another one. Yeah, very tough place to play. Speaking of them, let's go with the Lions and the Packers. That was one of the big games this past weekend. Man, I picked actually the Lions to be there in the end, to represent the NFC. I just thought that they were going to make up for the fact that they didn't get there last year. And then they came out, and I should have factored this a little bit more. When you lose two coordinators, something's going to take a hit. Something's going to show. And the Ben Johnson effect offensively was real evident. Oh, my gosh, it was real evident, man. And that's going to take a minute for that to set in. And defensively, nobody really gave Aaron Glenn the credit. But now that he's gone, he's going to be missed. And so on the Packers side, though, the Packers are, I believe, for real. I think the defense is certainly upgraded with Micah Parsons being there. And I think they'll be even more competitive than they are. And I think they sense that they got the pieces in place. Offensively, they got Love. They got the backs now. They got the receivers. And so I just think the Packers are for real this year, and they got a legitimate shot of being real strong in that conference.
Yeah, they are, man. And another big win for those guys. They set the tone right away by introducing the defense and then bringing Mike out last, and the place goes crazy. I think that Jordan Love is the truth, man. He really is the truth, man. And I think that he's a guy that I think the Dolphins really wanted back in the day and didn't get a chance to get. Had a chance to get him, but didn't take him. He was in the same draft as Tua and all the other guys, the Herberts and all those other great quarterbacks.
Oh, wow.
Starting to flash right now. So we had a chance to get him. Jalen Hurts, I think, went second round in that draft. So, we had some chances to get some of those guys, man. But we've got our guy, and he's just got to be the guy like all these guys are being. But you're right, man. The impact of winning is always losing coaches, especially coordinators. And good for those guys going on and getting head jobs somewhere. And that's a compliment to to Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
You see the Shanahan tree of guys. Shanahan's got a bunch. Everybody, these head coaches, they look to see how many guys they can put in the league at head coach. That's part of their resume too.
Yeah.
So good for him on that, man. And so I think that. The Packers they're that team, man. And again, you got a division game at home that you have to win against a team that won 15 games last year, bro. So it's like a big win for them and big deal getting Micah. The rumor on the street, though, was that the Eagles wanted to trade for Micah. We're going to give up more, 2 first-round picks, I think a third-round pick, a fifth-round pick. But Jerry Jones said, we're not doing that within the division. No way we're doing that. That's a smart move right there, man. They did
well, that was smart, but still, let him go to the AFC. Don't keep him in the NFC. Let him go to the
Yeah,
AFC,
yeah.
but he may not have had any suitors, but that would have been ideal. But I can see, he wouldn't letting him go to the doggone
No
Philadelphia.
way. We saw what happened with the Giants letting Saquon go there. They're not gonna make that mistake as well. Come on
Oh yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. Do you think he will have another year like he had last year, Saquon?
I
Or
don't
they
think
got
it'll
his
be.
number now, or it's going to be even more difficult.
Yeah, I think he won't sneak. Obviously, he won't sneak up on anybody, but
Right.
he's going to have a big season, man. He really is. They've got so many weapons that when you run that read option with him and and Hurts, man. I mean, you can't win. How do you win that? You got two dudes that squat 600 pounds each. Hard to get down. You got safeties that are trying to make those tackles on the edge. This is a tough deal for those guys when you got to deal with both of those guys like that.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not an easy deal. So I think he'll definitely. I mean, he won't go over 2K, I don't think. He'll probably get to 1,500, though. 17 games, you should get to
Oh, yeah.
1,500, 17 games.
Oh, now, let me ask you a question since I stopped on the Eagles for a second. Are you a fan of the tush push?
You know what?
Because me and Irvin be going at it. He's like, "Oh, it's a good
all
play."
I say is this, man. If you don't like it, stop it. If you don't like it, don't let them get the 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, or 2. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part about it. They try to say it was a dangerous play, but hell, man, I mean, the push has been going on the goal line forever. Now that it's going on midfield or even on your own 30 sometimes, and you can't stop it. I mean, I don't like it or dislike it. I say if you don't like it, people just got to find a way to stop it, man, or just don't let them get those down and distance, man.
I guess for me, it's just not a football play for me. It's more rugby.
What about the goal line? Is it a goal line play for you?
It's a goal line play, but it's never been this dramatic or drastic, I should say. I mean, it's slowly evolved now that everybody gets behind and pushes a guy. I mean, it was never to this degree. So, I agree with you. If you don't like it, stop it. Just from a fan's perspective, I don't particularly care for it because it's just not a football play for me. So
I hear you, man. Hey, it was close to being banned. I think they missed it by like 2 votes, I heard, or something like that. They were trying to ban it.
They didn't get my mail-in vote because I tried to vote again. I wanted it out. So they didn't count my vote. All right. So Ravens and the Bills. We talked about that one a little bit, but I wanted to get your perspective on that game. It was a great game, but I wanted to get your take on that.
I thought it was an outstanding game, man. I thought you saw, obviously the 1 and 2 vote getters for MVP last year. I still think Lamar should have gotten MVP. You throw 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions and, do what you do, man. Lamar should have been MVP last year for his 3rd time. I thought that he got screwed out of that one, man. But what a game. Yeah. I mean, when is Derrick Henry going to slow down? I know he had a big fumble, in that huge, not even big, it was huge fumble in that game. But, man, you got to hand him the rock there, right? I mean, he was just doing what he does, man. When is he going to slow down? This dude was running. He ran by that safety like he was standing still.
And he just like, get off me.
Yeah, ran through that one. He got the edge on another one, and I felt bad for him at the end, man. But bottom line is, man, ball security is the most important thing in a situation where a team is up 15 points. It's a tough deal, man. But that game showed, like we talked about earlier, how quarterback play is so instrumental. I mean, Lamar had 70 yards rushing, I mean, with the
pretty
couple
typical.
100 yards passing, Josh Allen, man, he's the truth, man. Threw for almost 400. What did he run for? Like 30. He ran when it was important to run. He ran it. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, the game itself, man, is what this game is all about. This is a quarterback-driven league.
Yeah.
And you saw the two best quarterbacks go toe-to-toe last night like a heavyweight fight. And, man, I felt bad for for the Ravens, because honestly, I need Buffalo to take every L they can get within our division. The Dolphins almost woke up this morning in first place with all the teams being 0-1, Tempe. I mean, small victories, right? You got to have these small victories, man. And we were that close. We were that close to being in first place last night. You know what I mean? But, man, that's how football's played, man. Those two teams are in a different league than everybody else.
But, when you mentioned Josh Allen, I mean, he I mean, if that's any indication as to the type of year that he's going to have, he's going to win the MVP again.
Easily.
I mean, because he's doing it with still an offense that you see in terms of players. You know, they're average. I guess they're not superstars, but they're good players, and he's making it work with them. And you know, defensively, you know, they got some work to do there, and I think that's exposed a little bit. But the thing that I was surprised about with the Ravens, you know, we all see the Ravens. You always think about defense, and for them to collapse and give up that many points, I was really surprised by that. Really surprised by that.
Yeah, that just tells you how good Josh Allen is, how good he is at home too. He made some incredible throws last night, man. I mean, he really made some incredible throws. And you know, James Cook is an undersized back.
Yeah.
But he's so good. Like, you know, he's shifty, he runs between the tackles very well. But Keon Coleman, some of the catches and plays he made last night were spectacular. Shakir's their guy. Shakir's their guy that they paid this offseason, and he trusts him. But man, if Keon Coleman's that dude on the outside that he showed last night, people are gonna be in trouble. Especially if Josh Allen starts to trust him more and more. And they got a tight end group in Kincaid and Knox that are special as well. And they got a nasty old line. They're a really good team, and I hate them because they're within our division, you know. But man, they're gonna be tough to deal with. They are so tough to deal with. And their defense had some problems last night too. Like Buffalo's defense had some problems, just like, you know, the Ravens defense had some problems. But when you're going against one MVP versus another MVP on offense, it's a tough deal. It really is.
It's a tough deal, no doubt. All right, well, we're almost at the top of our hour, and we got to give our preview on the Vikings and the Bears tonight on Monday Night Football, Juice. So the Vikings are traveling to Chi-Town and taking on Caleb Williams, who I think is the biggest beneficiary to Ben Johnson. I just think that, you know, the fact that Ben Johnson is there for him at this stage in his career is just phenomenal. He has a great wide receiving core, Odunze, DJ Moore, and a rookie Luther Burden. Their defense is, you know, that's where I'm a little questionable about their defense. The only person that's really notable is their edge rusher Sweat. So I'm not so sure about that. Now on the Viking side, for me, my big question is JJ McCarthy, because I think they moved on from Sam Darnold too soon. So JJ McCarthy didn't play last year. So in my eyes, he's a rookie. So I'm expecting some rookie growing pains. So it'll be interesting to see him on the big stage tonight against the Bears at home.
Yeah, you know what? And I didn't see much. I mean, JJ was a game manager, really good game manager at Michigan when he was there. You know, we saw enough of him from watching him against Penn State. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how how the Bears offense and Caleb Williams plays against a Brian Flores defense with the Minnesota Vikings. I think Brian Flores is going to give him all he can handle tonight. And we'll see how much Caleb, you know, has grown. And he got away with a lot of things at USC, being able to run around and things like that. You can't do that in the NFL. You can't get away with that. We saw Lamar Jackson get away with it last night, but you're not going to be able to get away with that with him. Yeah. He ain't Lamar when it comes to all that. Lamar is, I mean, all 4-4, low 4-4s all day and you know, can get out. The JJ McCarthy thing is going to be interesting. You know, like you said, he's still a rookie when it comes to everything that you talk about. And he also, you know, I don't care what he did in the preseason, everything ramps up in game one in the regular season. You're going to see some exotics that you haven't seen before. They can prep you all you want in practice. You get to scout and foreign team, run as much as you want. You can look at it on film as much as you want. It's not the same when it's live, baby. You know what I mean? You know how that is, Tempe, especially on Monday night.
Monday night, you know, baby.
Yeah, my boy Keith Jackson, my first Monday night football game, Keith Jackson, I was walking in with him to the Dolphin Stadium, man. And he said, "You see that, Juice?" I'm like, "What?" He said, "There's 4 big trucks out there." He said, "That means the whole world is watching." I'm like, "Ooh, if I wasn't nervous enough already, Tempe, you know what I mean?" So, you know,
told you 4 big trucks out there.
Yeah, 4 trucks, not just regular one production. There's 4 trucks out there, man. So yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. I like seeing these young quarterbacks and see if they end up being in like a, you know, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, man. So here's their time to shine. Like we talked about, the whole world is watching tonight. And we're going to see if, you know, Caleb Williams is taking that next step. And we're going to see if J.J. McCarthy was the right pick moving on from Sam Darnold like you talked about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going. I hope it's a good game. Last thing I want to do is turn the doggone TV on and it's a blowout. You know,
Right.
you get ready with your chips and your dip, and you sit there and it's like a blowout. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm looking forward to it.
I want a lot of scoring, or see, but Timmy, we're also like we like good football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not like the average fan wants a lot of scoring. This game sucked. It was 14-17. That's a good football game, depending on how it shakes.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, as offensive players, I like that game last night more than I like any game all year. I like let's go back and forth. You get whoever gets the ball last is going to win this game. Usually.
Oh yeah. That's it. Well, Juice, we're done, man. It's an hour. It's an hour show, man. We did it, and you were great. Man. Thank you so much.
Great, man. Thank you, man.
Juice, let everybody know how they can find you. Talk about the fish tank a little bit. Talk about how they can catch your show and everything.
Yeah, my buddy Seth Levin and I, we do the At the Fish Tank 81 on all platforms. So At the Fish Tank 81 on Twitter and Instagram and everything. We do a Fish Tank live show on Wednesdays. I'm not going to be there this Wednesday, but my boy Mark Clayton's filling in for me on Wednesday. So we're going to be answering all these questions you asked me about them Dolphins at the beginning of the show. And we got some great interviews with former players. We do a lot of current stuff now because we're on our own again, doing our own thing. And we're just having a lot of fun just talking Dolphins. But we got this thing called, Sharks Amongst Dolphins too. We talk to players that actually played against us and did some damage against us because we want to see how they felt about us when we were playing against them too. So just having fun with the podcast, trying to be like y'all, man. Trying to be like, Whiteout's world. That's all, bro.
Well, I appreciate you being here, man. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for us. Irving Fryer will be back next week. Appreciate you again, OJ, for coming on and joining us. Make sure you subscribe to Whiteout's World on YouTube. We're not on every platform as the Juice is, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress. So I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. This is Whiteout's World. We'll see you next time.
This has been Whiteout's World. Touchdown. The legends, Irving Fryer and Michael Timpson. Are you freaking kidding me? If it's football talk you're looking for, I think we've got you covered. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on YouTube at Whiteout's World. See you next time.
Let's go! Let's go! Go! Go!